It's a red letter day in the European cross-country calendar, and this year it features a European cross-country champion. Fionnuala Britton heads the field in the IAAF Antrim International Cross Country. This is an event which always attracts a strong field, with many top cross-country athletes from Europe regular visitors to this testing Greenmount course. This year there's a strong British and Kenyan presence seeking to take the honours. We're at Greenmount, a testing course close to Belfast International Airport, with picturesque Lough Neagh just a stone's throw away. I'm here with our commentator Will Downing. Will, who's the big attraction today?
Well, without a doubt, it's great that for such a big event like this, we've got the European cross-country champion, and she's from not terribly far away from here in Fionnuala Britton. The fact that you've got Gemma Steele as well, who ran a relatively close for a lot of the European Championship in Slovenia, in Velenje, and a couple of weeks ago also in Edinburgh. It's their third tilt in 4 weeks, and it should be tight. It should actually be very, very interesting.
There are a whole series of races for different age groups from across the region, but the race most people have come to see is the women's senior event. Commentary from Dick Hooper and Will Downing.
A strong Ethiopian contingent will try and upset the party for Gemma Steele and Fionnuala Britton. Annabelle Gummo, like Steele, was a medalist in Velenje, junior team gold. Alice Nawa Una hasn't made it to the start line, so just one Kenyan, Purity Karui. So the big moment approaches for the senior women's race. Big crowd, a lot of anticipation for this. The European champion involved, but a strong team for Britain. 41 is Claire Martin, 43 Rebecca Randall. And there is the bronze medalist from Velenje in the red, Gemma Steele. 37 is the European champion, Fionnuala Britton. Divided by Aoife Culhane, the main two. Finished in the top two in Edinburgh a couple of weeks ago. This their third assaults on the other in the past 4 weeks. Away we go. Will it be another battle between Steele and Britton or Dick Hooper? Will there be a wild card involved today?
You would imagine, Will, that with 4 good Africans in there that they would be hoping to upset the party, but it's hard to look beyond both Steele and Britton. They've been running so well, and this rivalry is so exciting at this point in time that you fancy that the battle will end up between them, but don't write off those Africans. They're always very good cross-country runners. Within this race too, it shouldn't be forgotten, there's a Northern Ireland Cross-Country Championship, and the best of the Northern Ireland women are there, and there are some very good women up from the south. I see Aoife Culhane there, Laura Shaughnessy, Lizzie Lee. Very good field.
Well, we're into the forest in the far end of the course, and it is the top two straight away that we expected. Britton and Steele, first and third in Velenje in that order in the European Championship in Slovenia. First and second in Edinburgh a couple of weeks ago. Steele with the slight advantage, ahead of in third place in the red, the Ethiopian Mekdes Bekele. Bertika Demu, another Ethiopian, is in fourth spot. Makasha Waganesh of Ethiopia is fifth. Purity Karui of Kenya in the green, she's sixth. And then a bit of a gap, Annabelle Gummo leading Jane Potter Charnwood of England and Rosemary Smith of Scotland. But as they head into the adjoining field alongside the Greenmount course, far and away ahead of the rest, are we seeing Britton and Steele divided between them already as they come around for the conclusion of the first of the 3 laps.
Quite fascinating to get them so far, see them so far ahead of the Africans so early on in the race. They've really laid down their stone now, and they're battling it out between the two of them. Neither of them would be seen to have a tremendous kick finish, so in actual fact they're so similar, these two athletes, that it's an intriguing battle. Gemma looks to be in a better position because it's very windy out there and she's drafting off Fionnuala. However, that gap is enough to suggest that she may be under a little bit of pressure, but there's no doubt that it's really a two-person race, and they're so well matched that they're really finding out more and more about each other. And you got to remember that this is their third battle now in about 6 weeks. Fionnuala has the upper hand, and will she keep the upper hand today? Gemma looks like she's pretty determined.
They're getting to know each other so well. It is very heavy ground in this forested section with a very strong hill and a major lead that they've opened up Mektis Bekele in the red. She's in third place ahead of Bertakan Edemu, her fellow Ethiopian. In fact, 3 Ethiopians in shot. Makasha Waganesh is there also. And the rest of the African athletes are a little bit behind. It is a steep hill and it's causing Bekele all sorts of trouble. A great athletics name from a great athletics nation. Antrim in the winter is something she's finding very difficult. Aoife Culhane and Lizzie Lee, they've overtaken the 3 British athletes who were ahead of them the last time they were around this section, Charnwood Smith and Martin.
I see Breach Connolly there for Northern Ireland running quite a strong race. She's just behind her compatriot Julie Turley and Rosemary Smith from Scotland. So it's a really strong trio there. They're just off the green-vested Lizzie Lee and Laura Shaughnessy, I think it was. It's fascinating to watch them run up the hill. It's really heavy going there, really tough. And when a gap opens on a hill like that, it's extremely hard to close it. You will find that on heavy, mucky days, if a gap opens, generally they stay away, as we're witnessing with the lead 2 here. They've grown quite a gap over the Africans, and the Africans can't do anything about it. Good to see Fionnuala take a little bit of a break there, a little bit of a breather, and let Gemma do the work, because this is a 2-horse race. Neither of them are going to break too early here, it looks like. So it's a case of making your move at a very strategic time. I suspect it'll come at the end of a hill sometime.
Well, as they emerge back the leading 2 in towards the sight of the crowd at the far end, that really is a kicker of a hill, just as they go through a very heavily mudded wooden section out in the forest on the far side. This is the last time they'll be passing this vantage point, because the next entry into the main part of the course will see them go straight towards the finish line. But neck and neck between these 2. Steele fought her way back very impressively in Vilnius. She was outside the top 3 for quite a bit, but then forced her way back in. She was in second place for a good spell in Slovenia. But Fionnuala Britton had just one intention back then. That was to far away from the start, pull away as far as she could and win. But she's got Gemma Steele for company all the way today.
Oh, Gemma's running a very fine race, there's no doubt about it. Isn't it amazing the way in Ireland we always, when we get a really good runner, that their main rival tends to be a Briton. I recall Sonia O'Sullivan, first of all, having a major rivalry with Yvonne Murray from Scotland, and then that became a great rivalry with Paula Radcliffe. You think back to Spedding and Tracy, and you think back to Ibbotson and Delaney, and it always seems to be a Briton and an Irish person. And I think, judging by the way Fionnuala is relishing the battle here today, she's very aware of that as well. Gemma is so strong though, she's not letting her away, she's really digging in, and interestingly there, she closed that gap quite easily when they got to the top of the hill. These girls are so well matched, they're of the same age, same kind of vintage. Gemma, more a road runner type, cross-country type background, whereas Fionnuala would have the better track times at the moment. Gemma would have the better road times, and here they are mixing it in the middle in the country.
Annabelle Gummo of Britain, and it looks like that might be Lily Partridge of Aldershot as they make their way up the hill for the final time. Fionnuala Britton is kicked for home impressively, just as she did in Vilnius, just as she did in Edinburgh a fortnight ago. It's a strong lead she's opened up now over Gemma Steele. But does the English Midlands athlete have a little bit of extra steel in order to fight back and cut the gap? Britain is looking good. Makes her way, hidden among the trees, heading towards the line. There's been a decisive Irish break as well down the field. Lizzie Lee pushing away on through. And turning into the final straight, Fionnuala Britton in the form of her life. A little glance to see where Gemma Steele is, and she emerges now. But she is a beaten athlete. It's all about Fionnuala Britton today. European cross-country champion, European Athlete of the Month, European Athlete of the Moment, and a winner for the 3rd time in 6 weeks. This time on home soil in Antrim. Gemma Steele in 2nd place. Wonderful respect between the two. That was a great performance. It's Berta Kinademu who'll be in third place, and Mektas Bekele, I think, in fourth. But Dick, that was wonderful.
Oh, that was a great race, and I wonder really has Fionnuala got the psychological edge over Gemma. Everything was there for a battle down the straight, and yet at that moment, maybe 500 metres from home, Fionnuala decided she wasn't going to let her into the glory stakes, and she got the gap, and Gemma just wasn't able to close it. So she has a psychological edge, and I know she'll be very, very anxious to keep that there.
And a very, very popular winner. First in Slovenia to be champion of all Europe, then in Scotland, and now back home here in Ireland in Antrim. Another big victory for Fionnuala Britton then, but only 8 seconds to spare this time over Gemma Steele, with the Ethiopians of Ademu, Bekele and Waganesh next up. Purity Kurui for Kenya, and Annabelle Gummo 6th in the junior in Volenia, 7th in the senior in Antrim. Steele top of the UK Cross Championship with 1 round to go, ahead of her fellow European medalists from Volenia, Naomi Toshimovitz, Rosie Smith, Juliet Doyle, still close at hand.
Fionnuala, what's this race done for your confidence?
Yeah, I suppose last week I didn't have a great race in Spain, and so it was good this week to come back and win again, and I definitely think in front of a home crowd really it was extra special, I suppose.
And your competition with Gemma Steele, did she really push you?
Yeah, like I suppose we've had a few battles now at this stage, so luckily for me I've ended up on top again, but definitely today she pushed me all the way to the last field, last 500-600 metres, so it was tough today out there.
Did you expect her to push you the whole way?
Yeah, I suppose in one way, because both of us have kind of similar strengths and we both have to push it from the start and we need to get away from everyone else. I knew that we could end up the same again, but yeah, I think she put it up to me a lot more this time, so it's getting harder every time. But
how does this help you towards the 3,000 metres in the Olympics?
Well, at the moment, I don't know. Well, I have the qualifying standard for the steeplechase, but I suppose I'm going to go for the 5,000, 10,000 kind of. So I suppose hopefully this running a course like this definitely makes you strong anyway. So.
What about the reception you got here today? It's your first race since you won the European Championship in front of your home crowd.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable. Like in Edinburgh, I thought it felt like a home crowd. There was so much support there because there was Irish teams over and everything. But today, especially with all the kids racing and everything, there's so much support out here. Like I nearly would have felt I let them down if I didn't win today. So it definitely helped.
But I took it by the scruff of the neck and just took it out there. I didn't leave anything, on the race line. So
it was a good hard race.
It was, yeah. She was breathing quite heavy, I noticed, because I took it out right from the start, and I wanted to put it all in this time instead of jogging for the first lap and making it a shorter race. And I think that played to my strengths more because I'm more of a long distance runner. So I tried to wait for my stamina to kick in, but I struggled in the mud at the end. I think both of us nearly went a couple of times and lost the balance, but we recovered from that.
A big win for Fionnuala today.
Yeah, it was fantastic. She had to work very hard for it now. Gemma was very strong there today, but particularly on the home side, it's lovely to get a win for Fionnuala. She's in great shape.
And those conditions today, very muddy underfoot.
Yeah, very, very muddy now. It's a lovely course, but obviously there's been a lot of rain and it was going to be difficult, and I think coupled with the wind, it's fairly strong wind there today, it's quite exposed here, so that made it a lot more challenging for the athletes.
Now, Fionnuala's training programme for the rest of the year coming up to the Olympics, she's going to take a couple of weeks off.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's Chris Jones is her coach now, and he's everything fairly well planned out. She was hoping to go to altitude training in Albuquerque in early March, leading into a race in Stanford in America. Obviously, she's going to have a go at getting maybe the 5,000 or 10,000 metres time for the Olympics. She already has the 3K steeplechase time, but if she can get the time early enough, then she can decide probably with European and Olympics which event she would possibly choose.
And finally, a tremendous following for Fionnuala here today.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there was a great atmosphere, for the Irish when she won the European Championships, and the success then in Edinburgh, that people are excited for Fionnuala because she's been around for so long, and she's such a hard worker, and it's just fantastic for Irish athletics that she's in the shape she's in.
Mike Keegan has the honour of wearing one for this senior men's race, having claimed the title the last 2 years. 5 other Kenyans, Matunga Chizari Rotich, Frank Tickner and James Walsh, are currently first and second in the UK Athletics McCain Cross Challenge. Joe McAllister, Kevin Seward, Jarlath Falls, Eddie McGinley and the rest, all contenders for the Northern Ireland title. Huge field for the men's race here in Antrim, as Mike Keegan of Kenya wearing one. Expect to see an awful lot of him as he pulls away to the front straight away, along with the fellow Kenyan contingent. There's 6 of them here: Bernard Rotich, Jacob Tichari, Joseph Birech, Patrick Matunga and Titus Mbishe. There's a couple of Ethiopians here as well, in Yatawi Kende and Yersau Tegene. A lot of Irish and British athletes involved too, but just like we see in an awful lot of long distance events right throughout Europe, the Kenyans will dominate, and just look who's leading at the start.
Looks like it's the holder. Mike Keegan is back seeking the 3 in a row. Yeah, it's going to be very much a African dominated race here today. The Africans absolutely love Belfast and Northern Ireland. They've a long tradition of coming here and mopping up. Not so long ago, when the World Cross Country was in Barnet-Domain, Paul Tergat gave us the greatest exhibition of cross country running I've certainly ever seen, when he won the his fifth World Cross Country title. Mike Keegan is in that bracket. He too is one of the great cross country runners from Kenya, and wouldn't it be brilliant to see him win 3 in a row today?
Well, they're all passing through, and they've made their intentions clear right from the start. Keegan leading along with Matunga, Rotich and Tegene. The last 7 winners of this competition have been from Africa. Dathan Ritzenheim was the exception back in 2005. And it had been weather-wise such a wonderful day before now. But a majorly heavy shower is going to test the mettle, not just of the leading candidates, but the back markers too. And coming through the trees, it looks as if Mike Keegan has maybe had a little bit of trouble with his vest. It's a very blustery day here too. It's Keegan who leads in the black singlet. Brennan Rotich is in the orange, and just behind them is the dangerous looking Jacob Chisari. But it's a Kenyan 1-2-3 at the moment in the Antrim rain.
You can see by the state of Keegan's singlet there and the number flapping on it how strong that wind is, how difficult the conditions are, and coupled with the heavy foot under conditions, I think you'll find that the gaps will open up quite quickly here and will get large, and it's very, very difficult to close a gap on a heavy mucky day like that. Within the race here too, once again we have the Northern Ireland Cross Country Championship, and that promises to be a very good team battle between St Malachy's, North Belfast and Annandale, I'd say, would be the main protagonists there. But I do see the City of Derry Vests are there as well. I see Joe McAllister well up in the race, and the Annandale boys, Andrew Agnew and Eddie McGinley.
Well, let's see how the men tackle this hill, and the leading 2 slipping and sliding. Keegan just leading Rotich at the moment. The last time we had a European winner was 2003, and the great 9 times European cross-country champion Sergei Lebit. There is an Englishman who is relatively high up in the field in Frank Tickner, and James Walsh also of Leeds City in the top 10, but thankfully the rain has abated for now, and Keegan has opened up a slight lead on Rotich, but the lead these 2 have in the rest is quite considerable. I'd just love to know what's happened to Mike Keegan's singlet.
As I say, it's the wind that's causing the problem there, and I'd imagine he's put the number on quite badly, so it'd be interesting to see does the number survive the race. But there's no doubt that he looks like he'll survive it, because he's growing that gap there as it goes along, and he looks very, very comfortable. Down the field there, not too far back from the Africans, and I see Frank Tickner, an Englishman, a very fine cross-country runner who's won 2 English national cross-countries himself. He's come through strongly, as is James Walsh, who's the UK 10,000 metre track champion. They're both running well.
Well, this is a very impressive lead that Keegan has opened up. He's in the forest, and he is very much alone at the moment.
It always intrigues me how good the Kenyans are in the muck and the wind and the wet and everything when you think of where they come from.
Keegan has put the foot down, and again there was a slight stumble as he went up that quite harsh hill. Conditions, well, the sun may be out, but underfoot it's still heavy, and that brutal shower of a few moments ago would not have been a help.
Now there we see James Walsh leading out, Joe McAllister, Andrew Agnew and Emmett Dunleavy. That's a good group. They're running well, they're working hard, and they're drafting off each other. They're running cute because they're helping each other to get through the wind and the wet and the tough conditions. Very good running.
Well, you can see the gap that Mike Keegan has now suddenly opened up as he passes in front of the finish line yet again. A strong lead over Matunga and Rotich. He's made his way into the forest. He's on the final lap and he's looking very, very strong indeed. Only has to go up this hill once more, and it's almost as if he's pushing the lap runners out of the way almost to make sure that the victory and the gold medal is his yet again. And well behind now, Matunga, Rotich, and Tegenye, the Ethiopian, who probably won't be getting a lot of help from the two Kenyans. The gap is quite massive between those three and Mike Keegan now, and Tegenye's decided to go the long way past our lapped runner.
And you can see what that cost Tegenye. He lost a little bit of concentration, but he also lost 10 yards with that one move.
Mike Keegan in the closing straight. He knows this course so well, and he knows this feeling so well also. The first man ever to win 3 Antrim International cross-country titles in a row. Paul Tergat, Steve Cram, Steve Ovett, John Tracy, Khalid Scar, Sergei Lebed. A wonderful roll call of glory. But he's the only man to win it 3 times. Patrick Makunga of Kenya will be in second place. Bernard Rotich should be behind him in third.
Absolutely dominated the race, and as not unexpected, first 4 runners are Africans.
Kenya 1, 2, 3. Keegan, Matunga and Rotich. It'll be Ethiopia in fourth with Tirso Tekenye.
Frank Tickner there having a fantastic run. Frank has been off the boil for a while, but that's a really brilliant run. He'll be delighted with that, and he split the Africans there as well. Good boost for him, and not too far off the lead really.
Birech is 6th, Kende 7th, but there is ultimately only one Mike Keegan. He's wearing number 1. That is where he has finished yet again today. A dominant winner, and for the 3rd year in a row, men's glory belongs to Mike Keegan. So Mike Keegan does it again, 3 wins in a row in the Antrim International Cross Country. 28 seconds to spare over his fellow Kenyan, Patrick Matunga, with Bernard Rotich in 3rd. Frank Tickner's 5th place, a big help for him, as he now leads the UK Athletics McCain's Cross Challenge over James Walsh, who was 9th today in Antrim.
Was that the hardest of your 3 victories here?
Yes, this was the hardest because of muddy everywhere. 2010 was a little bit muddy, but not like this year. This year was tough race for me.
You pushed from the very start of the race?
Yes, I wanted to push so that I can leave my fellow Kenyans, so that I wanted to win for that 3rd time. That's why I tried to push from the start.
How does this fit into your plans for the Olympic Games?
Yes, this is a nice preparation. But from tomorrow I will be going to Kenya to prepare for 10,000 to try to make the Olympic team for Kenya.
And ahead of 3rd place Stephen Scullion and 2nd place Andrew Agnew, the Northern Ireland champion is Joe McAllister.
Joe, many congratulations on being the Northern Ireland winner today. How did you find the race?
It was quite good. It was quite pleased with how I felt. I tried to stay controlled sort of the first half with it being sort of so muddy. I wanted to make sure that I was running strong in the second half of the race, and felt like I was able to do that.
The conditions today were very tough, weren't they?
Yeah, very, very muddy underfoot, especially sort of there's a little field towards the end there that was very, very muddy underfoot.
So how did this race fit into your plans for the winter?
I'm more focusing on the roads. I'm going to run a marathon in April at Rotterdam. So this was it's the Northern Ireland Championships, and it's a team event, and my club has won the last couple of years, so more running it for sort of that aspect of it rather than anything else. Even I think the club, the team title was very close. I think there's only a couple of points in it. I think we may have just lost out.
A look at some of the other winners of the day. Shifra Cleary-Butner, wonderful performer from Dundrum, South Dublin in 2011, continuing her success into the new year, claiming the women's under-17 race. The IAAF Junior Women at under 20 would be claimed by Annalise Regina Dolan. Harvey Dixon from Aldershot, Farnham and District would take the IAAF Junior Men's crown at under 20. 17-second winning margin over Armagh's Stephen Kerr. And in the boys under 17, Callum Matthews was the man to beat, but unbeatable.
So Mike Keegan claims his third Antrim cross country, while Fionnuala Britton scores her third big victory of recent weeks. Till the next time, goodbye.